Welcome to Jurassic World.
Guests, welcome to Jurassic World Minute, where we visit Jurassic World 1 minute at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And on this episode we're discussing Minute 58 of Jurassic World. Before we get to that, David, the articles at Jurassic-Pedia.com for Camp Cretaceous Season 2 are still going up every day, every week, where you guys are working behind the scenes to get these articles up. A couple older ones here now because this is going to probably be released in a couple of weeks' time, but we've got the announcement now that Season 3 is coming in May, which is great to see. They're pumping these seasons out, so plenty of Jurassic content in the gap left behind for Dominion. But this one here, we got article up for Hap. His introduction into the Season 2, what he was doing there, being an expedition guide for Mitch and Tiff. One thing I wondered, even when the show came out, what would HAP be short for?
I have no idea. I always assumed like that was his last name or something.
Yeah, because I can only draw the string to happiness, which, looking at the photo in the article, he's not happy.
Well, there is the Marvel character, Happy Hogan. I'm not sure if that's like an actual name or just something Stan Lee came up with, but yeah.
Wasn't he a wrestler or something? That was his stage name? Is that where?
Was it? I always thought that was his real name. I'm not intimately versed in the world of Marvel outside of the movies.
No, but I just assumed because he's Tony Stark's driver and security guard or whatever, he might have been an ex-wrestler or something, but that's where Happy Hogan come from. But again, I'm not that versed on the Marvel stuff as well, so we can leave that there.
Google is saying that his real first name is Harold. So maybe Hap is a Harold?
Yeah. Then again, as you said, it could be just an alias name. He's in the shady side of the world here, taking people on illegal hunts. And a bit of a write-up here about the incident involving him, Tiff, and Mitch getting on the island after the park's evacuation.
I did like a lot of the character animation on Season 2. I know they said that they didn't really think that they had any kind of new animation programs or anything, but I mean, looking at some of these pictures, the hair is phenomenal, the skin texture is great. I mean, it's really, really good. I'd actually say this clothes are actually not as good as the skin and hair textures. You really only kind of thing that's not so great as the eyes. The eyes kind of seem a bit flat, but I mean everything else on these character models are great. Yeah. I mean you can see like the freckles on Hap's forehead and all the scars and stuff that he's got on his face and arms, you know?
Yeah, crisp, clear animation, which has me excited for Season 3.
Oh, yeah. It's his untimely demise saving the campers.
Yeah, well, he did have a bit of that turn from being a bit of a hard ass to then riding shotgun with Brooklyn and I'd have to look down here to have a look at the article. Who else was in the sidecar on the motorcycle? It was Kenji, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Hap was one of those guys that turned out to be a hard ass with a heart of gold, as they call him.
Yeah, I think when we discussed season 2, he had the look and feel of a Dita Stark, but then come around in the end, and like the balls jumping off the sidecar and facing down the two baryonyx with no weapons, only your grit. There may be a little bit of a mental illness there.
Well, he had the shock prod, but I mean that's not going to do much for long.
And the number one rule in sci-fi, we never seen the body. So
No.
I'm sure. I don't think there's any way of getting out of that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way he could have survived. Plus, I mean, being a kid's show, it seemed pretty implicit that he bit the dust to no pun intended.
Well, there's also the theme as well with them not wanting any adults on the island while the kids are there. As soon as we get introduced to the adults, they get killed, which isn't looking good for anyone that comes to the island in season 3. Yeah, but for more articles on Camp Cretaceous and the Jurassic series, head over to jurassic-pedia.com for this and many more.
Our DNA excavators discover new species every year, but consumers want them bigger, louder, more teeth.
Yeah, all right, Dave, ready to get into 58?
I am.
As we enter 57 of Jurassic World, Zach and Greg had quite possibly found the darkest, meanest looking patch of jungle on Nublar to drive their gyrosphere into. As we open on minute 58, the boys come across a herd of ankylosaurs and chylosaurs grazing in the jungle. At the 12-second mark, Grey tells Zach they're Ankylosaurus, we shouldn't be here, and there's 5 dinosaurs. As we push in on the gyrosphere, as the boys count how many animals they see, we can see the reflection of Indominus start to appear behind them. At the 26-second mark, it slowly raises into the air as we hear that god-awful breathing it does. And after giving us a perfect J.J. Abrams lens flare, roars. At the 38-second mark, everything happens at once. The Indominus roars. Grey yells to Zack to go, go, go. And the herd of ankylosaurs stop what they're doing and stampede away. As the Indominus gives chase, it kicks the gyrosphere, playing a little bit of Jurassic World soccer as it runs down the closest ankylosaur. The gyrosphere is sent spinning wildly out of control as it ricochets off trees and a couple of the ankylosaurs running from the Indominus, hitting one in the shoulder, causing it to fall down. At the 50-second mark, the gyrosphere comes to a stop, just as one of the ankylosaurs turns and makes a stand against the Indominus. And as the minute ends, Grey jams left on the joystick to move the big glass ball out of danger, but only makes things a hell of a lot worse. As we open on minute 58, gyrosphere is moving through the ferns, and and as Zach says there, it begins to turn and face a small herd of ankylosaurs and chylosaurs. You know what I mean.
Dinosauruses.
Yeah, dinosauruses. These are the spiky and clubbed ones. Also, it seems to be a little bit of a CG goof here. Whenever we see the gyrosphere move, the glass ball's sort of moving independently of the internal structure, where here the whole ball and everything turns to face the animals. With the way the gyrosphere works, it should be just the inside bit that turns, and the glass should keep going the way it normally would be going. But just something I picked up there when they CGI'd the glass around the little rig they had set up here. They made the whole thing turn as one.
Well, I mean, that does also kind of beg the question about the construction of the gyrosphere. Is the frame itself kind of move in a spherical direction, or is the gimbals inside move the glass in the spherical direction? You know?
Yeah, we never get, even when we in a minute here where it gets upside down and broken, we can see the counterweight and that under it, but you can't really see drive wheels or any sort of drive mechanisms to make things turn, apart from those big chrome ball bearings around the outside. So maybe it's in there. somehow.
I can imagine trying to line up the door with the way you're supposed to go out would be a real pain.
Well, that the doors on either side are the only way we can see the ball moving, obviously, but orientate the ball with where it should be compared to the thing inside. And yeah, when you return to the station, there has to be some sort of automation where it'd stop you, move you one way or another to or reorientate the ball, the doors with the sides, and then go into the station. But it's a nightmare. That'd be a nightmare. Zach continues, see, I told you. You're welcome. Up close and personal with 4 dinosaurs. And technically they were up close and personal with a lot more out in the valley before this, but these ones are some animals I haven't seen before, and grey retorts, ankylosaurs, ankylosaurs. We shouldn't be here, and there's 5 dinosaurs. And as we slowly move in backwards towards the gyrosphere, we can see, well, you just start to see Indominus's grey snout becoming visible at the back of the ball, which is something I've never really noticed before. Just looking for it now, seeing how noticeable that image is coming through the glass.
Well, it also seems, it's kind of curious because it almost seems as if the Indominus was using her camouflage ability again in this scene, because she wasn't, I mean, you really don't see her behind them until you see her behind them, you know? I mean, she, in a way, kind of slowly reveals herself.
It also looks like she's using the glass to hide herself from the animals as well. Just how low the camera is here and how low she is, it's like she's almost laying on the ground behind them. Especially for them to see the reflection pretty much straight ahead and not down near their feet. Which, yeah. But grey points and says 5, and that's when we can see a lot more ahead now, sort of moving. It sort of looks like it's appearing as if she's getting closer, but you might be right, she might be just becoming visible behind them, and that's why you can sort of start to see more. Not that she's getting closer, because yes, she's seen all this for the first time, but if she's this close to the gyrosphere, why isn't she paying attention to that and not the ankylosaurs?
Well, it's also possible, I mean, as Owen said, that she's learning as she's going along. So she may be figuring out that humans aren't really worth her time to eat. And the only reason she seems to go after them later is because she's figured out that they're like easy to catch, but they're not really good to eat because they're bony, they're skinny, they don't have meat on them. The ankylosaurs would make much better food, but she's never really hunted live dinosaurs before. So it's not like she's really figuring out which kind of dinosaurs are food.
Yeah.
You know?
If sort of her kills are getting larger, we got these ones here that she's about to kill, then we're going to get to Patasaurs later, where she's sort of just testing herself, testing her abilities, and not so much eating from what we see, just the just like most predators like that, just kill to hunt and not kill to eat. But also here too, where while Zach's counting, you can see one of the ankylosaurs sort of eating, and it's turned with its head looking straight at the boys. So it almost suggests again that either Indominus is hiding behind the gyrosphere or it's been camouflaged up until this point, because they're still carrying on eating as they would without knowing there's any danger. No hooting, no honking, no stampeding away from the approaching predator. But that's when we can hear it, in that unnatural breathing. This creature's just been put together poorly. But it lifts its head up, and we get a bit of a lens flare here as it raises up and roars. And that's when the ankylosaurs run. Gray yells to Zach to go, but it's too late, and Indominus charges for the animals, seemingly ignoring the hamster ball, but knocking it forwards as it runs.
Yeah, I remember when, I think that may have been that shot of the roar and then it kicking the ball was in one of the trailers, and I remember people complaining about that, and they're like, oh great, the dinosaurs play soccer now.
Yeah, I do remember that. We see it again in Fallen Kingdom with the herbivores just running through trees. That big log that Owen and that are hiding behind, just not really acting like animals. Yes, the Indominus was behind the gyrosphere. It knows it's there. you'd think it'd avoid it if it's going to run forward because it's only going to foul it up when it's running. Well, not in this case. It just kicks it out of the way, which doesn't affect the Indominus at all, because gravity and physics are about to go out the window with this ball getting bounced around.
Well, I think it's interesting how they're in this kind of clearing, and it looks like it's almost on the edge of a field because you can see beyond that there's sunlight streaming through the trees. But this like clearing they're in, it's like it's almost like it's being cleared or something. Like it's weird because there's no foliage at the bottom of these trees, so it almost looks like a park, you know? Like a city park, not like a Jurassic Park. Which we know is not the case. We know they're actually filming on location for this scene, but it's weird that they just found this random clearing where it's just leaves, not any kind of like foliage or undergrowth.
Yeah, I suppose you could use the excuse this might be where the Ankylosaurs camp. Bad example. not so much nests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they sort of hang around, they know there's food here. There maybe has been this location for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think has it ever been confirmed that the gate and the fence the boys went through were the boundaries of the restricted zone, because we see a lot heavier fence later on where we do see the restricted zone perimeter. So we don't really know if these are wild or what's going on with these Ankylosaurs here.
It's kind of interesting because, I mean, we know the gate was broken into. I don't think it was actually the restricted zone. From what I recall, the explanation being was that the visitor center area itself was fenced in as a kind of mini restricted zone. So it's not like the restricted zone. It's a smaller secondary zone that's basically visitors aren't allowed, you know?
Yeah,
It's Discovery Island for Jurassic World. And if you're not familiar, Discovery Island was a resort island in the middle of Disney World that, for some reason, Disney just simply abandoned. And they keep it restricted, and you'll get kicked out of the park for life if you get caught on this island. But at the same time, it's just like this island sitting in the middle of the lagoon with, like, broken gift shops, and it's like almost like a real Jurassic Park.
Wow. Because
it's in the middle of a tropical theme park that has been completely abandoned, you know?
Yeah, well, to tangent, there's I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel now. Someone used to go into abandoned parks and abandoned buildings and that like that, and they actually got into like the Universal Florida in there somewhere where the sick Triceratops was set up in that ride.
Yeah, I remember that video.
Mm.
And it was cool because it was almost like a real-life Isla Sorna. You had all these props that were made to look old that, being in their abandonment, had started to actually be old.
Mm.
So you got like all these... You got like the fake rust mixing in with the real rust, and it actually looking like a real abandoned laboratory on Isla Sorna.
Yeah. Yeah, because then I think the last time I watched that channel, he'd sort of done all the mainland stuff and that, or the American stuff, and had gone to Russia. I think was looking at a lot of the old abandoned where towns had just been left, especially Chernobyl and that sort of stuff, and just the Lost World feels to that, just abandoned sauna. But yeah, that's a tangent. Yeah, I always seen that fence as just sort of a boundary to keep the herbivores in that valley. That's Gyrosphere Valley. You want to sort of keep everyone in that one place, and you probably don't want Ankylosaurus near the gyrosphere for what we're about to see, because no matter how tame and sedated they are, they're a bit of a danger. But I suppose the stegosaurs are out there as well. But gyrosphere spins out of control between two of the escaping animals, and like a big pinball, just getting bounced around with the boys inside screaming. As Indominus gives chase, one of the Ankylosaurs trips and falls. And it's the one that the gyrosphere bounced off the shoulder. So the boys are part responsible for its death because they knocked it to the ground. But as they spin around, Zach says to Gray to keep it together, man. Obviously, feeling sick about the being in this big tumble dryer and spinning so fast, which the inertia, the mass of these balls spinning and these little fleshy people inside, it'd feel pretty bad.
Now he's getting the true Jurassic World experience. Bing, 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 bing.
Ooh, that's how it always starts. Then later comes rolling and screaming. But one of the gyrosaurs turns and roars at Indominus, and she roars back, and as the minute ends, Zach pulls sideways on the joystick just to get him out of there, but drives straight into one of the rearing ankylosaurs. And that's where we end at minute 58. Anything else in that, Dave, before we get into novel comparisons?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, there are no novel comparisons because it all happens just like the the movie, which the next couple of minutes are all going to be the same. What we see on screen here is exactly what they put to paper in the junior novelisation. So, if that's it, we'll get out of here for today and end minute 58.
All right.